What's good, YouTube? American RX at it again. What's good, people? A lot of interesting things took place today, huh? As you could see, um, the illusion is crumbling, you know what I'm saying? Civil war, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's staged or not, it is what it is. But it was very interesting to see what's going on at the so-called um, we call it the so-called capital. All right. So yeah, nothing is sort of surprising no more. And I'm saying that's why we've been telling you guys for the longest time. Prepare yourself, be ready, be self-governing. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody has to put the potential to govern themselves or their family. Y'all need to become tribal again. You know what I'm saying? Learn the principles of government within your own clan, your own society, and govern yourself. You know what I'm saying? Govern your family. You know, elect a chief or somebody who's gonna be responsible enough to take care of the affairs of the family. Okay. Well, anyway, and I'm gonna to he's talking about that for too long. I'm just gonna get to the chase and get to the point. So this evening, I'm gonna be presenting this predictive programming. So a lot of times when you see these movies, these media broadcasting communication companies publishing a lot of what's going on. It's pretty much a lot of it has to do with predictive programming, right? So let's get to it. Predictive programming, right? And by the way, this is from this is the Ohio State University website. So shout out by Daria Beaver, right? Predictive programming theory. Predictive programming is theory that the government or other higher ups are using fictional movies or books as a mass mind control tool to make the population more accepting of planned future events. This was first described and proposed by researcher Alan Watt, who defines predictive programming as programming is a subtle form of psychological conditioning provided by the media to acquaint the public with planned societal changes to be implemented by our leaders. Well, I don't have a leader, I lead myself. If and when these changes are put through, the public will already be familiarized with them and will accept them as natural progressions, thus lessening possible public resistance and commotion. Then it was popularized by Alex Jones and David Icke. The most notable cases of predictive programming are examples found in Simpsons, The Dark Knight Rises, The Hunger Games, and the oldest being from Utility. Right, so go ahead and check out those movies, all right, and you will get an idea of what predictive programming is about, right? Information can be found on blog posts, and many conspiracy theorists have either made videos on it or have spoken on the subject. That's a new term they're using now, conspiracy theorists. Whenever you speak your mind, whenever you speak the right, just things, they label you as a conspiracy theorist. Okay, that's a new term that they made up again. People who believe in this theory are mostly conspiracy theorists who think there will be a totalitarian government takeover, which it already is. I'm saying, who have eyes, let them see. You know what I'm saying? And Or on the more mild side, theorists who believe tragic events are an inside job are completely fake. David Icke proposed that the Sandy Hook shooting was predicted in The Dark Knight Rises because Sandy Hook is shown on the map in one of the scenes, right? So pretty much what it is, it's a subconscious type of thing, right? Where they use images or symbols, and I'm saying, to implant in your subconscious, right? And then because you are a being, you are a creative being, or you are a being that is unlimited. When these images are implanted in your subconscious, as the collective of people, right, it will likely to manifest over time, right? Because they play on your imagination, right? All right, so where was I? So I was right here. Okay. While I was looking for more information on the motives behind the government participating in predictive programming, I found that most commonly people believe the government creates a problem, so the population will look to the government for a solution. However, because the government planned for the crisis, the government will offer a solution that has been planned long before the crisis ever happened. Alan Watt, along with many others, believe a desired outcome is created through the power of suggestion in media. This theory is still very popular today because any huge event can be seemingly traced back to a cartoon or movie that was fortunate enough to predict it. Predictive programming at its core is a tactic to reduce resistance by introducing concepts that seem far-fetched. Now, who remember the Terminator movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Y'all remember that movie from in the 90s or the late 80s? Okay, that's one example, right? Okay. Predictive programming at its core is a tactic to reduce resistance by introducing concepts that seem far-fetched and continuously reintroduce them to make these concepts appear more likely or at the very least acceptable. As always, there is a reason why movies and television are used as the common vessel. When watching something, a person typically perceives it as entertainment, right? But it's usually a public service announcement, okay? All these movies are public service announcement. You were told, you were warned, okay? And their theoretical guard will be lowered, and the subliminal messages will be directly go to the subconscious. It also used as a sort of it also is used as a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, because once an expectation is created, then when these events start to happen, the population may seem more likely to accept the fate. There is also a control of imagination, because the most commonly used tool in predictive programming is science fiction. By creating these stories, the author can create boundaries of imagination and slowly show what may happen. Coincidence theorist, as mentioned before, one example of this is Utility. This is a book from 1898 that shared the story of a fictional ship named Titan that was deemed unsinkable and ended up crashing into an iceberg with a similar description and fate. This novel is seen as outlining the fate of the Titanic to create an acceptance among people for when the Titanic truly sank. Predictive programming is not a seamless theory because there are several contradictions when considering the possibility of subliminal messaging. Firstly, there is a conflict with the social learning theory. In the most popular experiments showing the social learning theory, children either hit or ignored a clown doll depending what behavior they saw being exhibited by by an adult. In predictive programming, it is said that by portraying a message, a reaction is assured regardless of the context. But in the experiment, the children didn't have a reaction to the doll, other than one exhibited by the adult. Secondly, there are a few purposes for predictive programming, and not all of them have to deal with tyranny. Some are meant to lessen the blow of an event like 9/11, or as mentioned previously, the Sandy Hook shootings. The contradiction raises when thinking about why the government would want to warn us or prepare us for Sandy Hook. The whole point of Sandy Hook conspiracy is to doubt the event even happened, so the government could create a conversation of gun control. This would defeat the purpose of staging it if the government was trying to ensure a small or inexistent response. Lastly, Alan Watts is very successful in explaining how an event was predicted by looking back at what was in movies or cartoons before the event. But predictive programming is not actually successful in predicting what may happen in the future based on current media. For example, The Simpsons are credited with predicting 9/11, Ebola virus, Trump's presidency, and many others. In a particular episode, Lisa is seen holding a magazine that advertises $9 bus fares in New York City. The price is placed by a silhouette of the Twin Towers. Therefore, the cover is depicting 9/11 and is involved in predictive programming. These instances of prediction from The Simpsons has only surfaced along with the theory, but there is no new prediction being reported from The Simpsons, with a majority being from the 1990s or early 2000s, showing that the accuracy of predicting the future is still 50-50 and left to chance. Now, whoever write this, they're very clever, okay? They're trying to downplay the fact that they use these methods of manipulating your thought process so you could manifest your own hell on earth, right? Because the mind is a terrible thing to waste. If you don't use your mind, it will be used for you, okay? So whoever writes this, they are biased towards the topic of predictive programming, right? They're trying to doctor it up to let it seem as if whoever speak or introduce this topic seem like they're not very accurate, and I could tell you that that's absolutely not true, right? There are several cognitive contributions that can be attributed to predictive programming. A lot of evidence presented by theorists are highly likely to be coincidence. So, by the way, nothing is coincidence, people. All right? Coincidences. Some are eerie and seem to be a sure thing, but they could be resulting from pareidolia. Pareidolia is seeing patterns in random stimuli, and as theorists are looking through evidence for their belief, they may begin to use a confirmation bias and see a pattern that does not actually exist. Interestingly enough, pseudoscience may play a role in the appeal of this theory. A lot of the basis of predictive programming can be attributed to the idea of neuro-linguistic programming, but after empirical testing, there's no evidence that neuro-linguistic programming even works. More importantly, there's no link between the two. As mentioned before, predictive programming is meant to soften the blow of a traumatic event and create less of a reaction and a tendency to accept All right, so this is what makes you docile, right? However, there are studies that show how